Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making a family favorite country biscuits with sausage and gravy and eggs. My family absolutely loves this dish. We actually make it a lot for dinner, more than we do for breakfast. My kids love it. Homemade biscuits and sausage, and then with the sausage drippings we make a homemade gravy and then scrambled eggs. So follow along. All right guys, so I'm going to take you along on a journey on how to make these biscuits and gravies with the sausage and eggs. So here we go. Let me take you down over to my kitchen area where I have all my supplies. So I have my salt, pepper, my whole milk, which is I'm going to use for my gravy, my flour also for my gravy. I have my butter, my sausage, my eggs, and then I use the Bisquick to make my biscuits. Super fast, super easy, super delicious. All right, here we go. Okay, so first we are going to start with the biscuits. One of my family members actually has an oil allergy, so I don't cook with any kind of oil at all. I only use butter. So what I'm going to do, since I'm not going to be spraying my baking dish, I'm going to be just using my butter stick and putting it on just like this over my foil, so that way my biscuits don't stick to the pan. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to go and start making our biscuits. We have our measuring cup. All right, so for the Bisquick biscuits, super easy. It's going to be 2 cups of the mix, and then also it calls for oil. It calls for 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. I will be melting 1 tablespoon of butter and using that instead. The biscuits actually turn out really great with the butter instead of the oil. All right, here we go. All right, so now I'm cutting my 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm going to be putting that in the microwave just to melt it ever so slightly, because as I said, we don't use oil in my house. I actually don't have any oil in my house. I have no olive oil, no vegetable oil, no seed oils. Hate seed oils, super bad for you. So just butter is how we go. And then we have our 2 tablespoons of mix that we're going to be using. Measuring out our Bisquick. Oh, crazy there. So I have that in a bowl. That's ready to go. Now I have my 1 tablespoon of butter. I melted that in my little measuring cup. Put that in there. And then also we need 2/3 cup of milk. So I have my whole milk that I'll also be using for my gravy. Gonna measure that out real quick. Add that in. So now we have the mixture all together. And then I just grab a regular spoon and we're gonna mix that all up. It's gonna make kind of a thick consistency. You can see that pretty good there. And sometimes if it seems a little bit too flaky, you can always add a little bit more milk, but it normally mixes up pretty good. You just have to kind of work it. We'll mix that. And you can actually make these biscuits, not even just for biscuits and gravy. My family actually likes these with a lot of meals. If you're looking for a super easy homemade biscuit recipe, this is the way to go for sure. So just keep mixing. This normally makes about 5 to 6 biscuits, depending on the size of the biscuits that you make. You can always make a double batch if you want them to be bigger, but I have a family of 5, and I just had a baby, so she doesn't eat any food yet. I just have the 4 people that I have to feed. So then I take it in my hands like this, kind of morph it into a ball. You don't want to push it together too much, otherwise they're going to get too dense. You want them to kind of stay light, so that way they'll be good with the gravy. If they get too dense, I don't like dense bread. So you just keep adding this. So we got 5 biscuits here. Those are ready to go. And then for this one, you're going to set the oven to 450 and you're going to bake them for 11 to 13 minutes. I normally get my sausage going. I preheat the oven, but I want to get my sausage going before I get these in the oven because I like to pull these out right when the gravy is completely ready to go. so that way everything is super hot and together. I don't like when things get cold and then you have to reheat things. All right, so now we are moving on to making our sausage. So I just started my stove. I have my sausage here, my Jimmy Dean's sausage. This is the best sausage to use. If you use like a brown and serve, you will not get enough grease from your sausage and you will not be able to make the gravy properly. So you're definitely going to want to use this kind of sausage. I always stock up on it when it goes on sale, and then what I do is just cut it and mash it into little patties. I make different sizes because my kids like the tiny crispy ones. My husband and I kind of like the bigger pieces. So you mash it. What's great is this actually makes a lot of sausage, so we save the sausage that we don't eat with this, because like I said, we normally make this meal for dinner. We'll save the sausage and we'll use it for breakfast. As you can imagine, having 3 kids, the mornings are pretty hectic getting everybody off to school. So I like easy breakfasts that I can just reheat and get everybody out the door. So like I said, I'm just mashing them into little patties. Nothing to it. Super easy. And just keep doing that until you get to the end of your sausage roll. And then depending on your stove, you know, this will take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to cook the sausage. You want to make sure it's cooked all the way through because it's pork. You don't want to get everybody sick from not having cooked sausage. So I just keep making little patties. Move them around. Okay, so moving on to the next step. While my sausage is making, I am now going to start cracking my eggs. I always have a little side plate or a bowl here, so that way I can just throw the shells. I use the same measuring cup that I use for the butter. Less mess, less cleanup, and the butter just adds more flavor. So I normally do about 6 eggs, because like I said, we like to have easy reheat meals. So I can have sausage and eggs, reheat it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of milk to my eggs, make them fluffier. Just eye it, just a splash there. Also going to add some pepper. And some salt. Alright, then we're going to mix that up. Making scrambled eggs there. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to set that aside, and we're going to work on the sausage. It's cooking away. I don't want to flip it too early, but see, I don't know if you can see there, it's making some nice grease, which is what we're going to use to make our gravy. So I really wish you guys could smell this, because this sausage smells so good. And my oven is preheating. It's already at 300 degrees. So once we pull the sausage, then I can put the biscuits in the oven. Well, actually, once I start making the gravy and the gravy starts coming together, then I can throw those biscuits in the oven. We're back. So you can see here, they're starting to get crispy on the outside, which is exactly what you want. Nice crispy sausage. That way you also know that it's cooked all the way through. The crispier the better, I say, because once it has the gravy on it, it's really good if it's crispy. So these are almost done. And then once they're done, then I'm going to take them off, put them on a paper towel, soak up some of the juices, and then we can start making the gravy. Alright, so now our sausage is good and ready, nice and crispy. So you're going to want to have a paper towel on a plate set aside, so that way you can put it on there and let it drain out. Nice and crispy. Now, any little teeny tiny pieces, you're going to want to leave that, because that's going to be good for your gravy. You'll have little chunks of sausage in the actual gravy, just like your grandma made. Get this out. Last piece, it does not want to come out. So here we have it. We have our pan with our drippings and the sausage on the plate. All right, so here you have your sausage drippings and your sausage on your plate that you're gonna set aside. Now I'm gonna dump out a tiny little bit of this drippings because it's a little bit too much animal oil. So I'm gonna dump a little teeny tiny bit out. I'll bring you along for that. I'm just gonna dump it. I know this goes against what everybody says, but dump a tiny bit out into the sink. Literally, honestly, probably just like a teaspoon of it. All right, now we are ready to start our gravy. Now this is an art. If your grandma is still alive, she'll tell you. It's definitely an art. Been working on this gravy for a while. I actually learned this gravy from my mother-in-law. She's a really great cook as well. So here we go. You're gonna want to turn down the heat a little bit. You're not gonna want it on too high. So you're gonna take just a little bit of flour and you're gonna put it into the pan. And as you can see, it's starting to bubble. So now that it's bubbling a little bit, you're gonna add in just a little splash of milk. So you can see it's really sizzling now. You're gonna wanna have a whisk and you're gonna start, you wanna turn it down and have it a little too high. I'm gonna add in a little bit more milk. It's gonna start to clump up. You're gonna kind of have to eye it and add a little bit more flour. I added not even half a teaspoon. So now you can see it's pretty clumpy. It's getting real clumpy there. So now we're gonna wanna add more milk. Just like this. Now you don't wanna over add the milk because if you add all the milk at one time, you're gonna ruin the gravy. It honestly, you just have to do it slowly, little by little. If you can see, it's getting real clumpy there. So we're just whisking it, keep working the gravy, whisk out all the clumps. And you're just gonna keep it on a low simmer. You don't want it too high. If you have it too high, you're gonna burn the gravy, you're gonna mess it up. So just keep it on a simmer. You can also see, if you can see in there, the little chunks of sausage, which makes a really good flavor for the gravy. All right, so while this is kind of cooking, I'm gonna add some pepper all around. Also going to add my sea salt. I don't use anything besides sea salt. Also, you don't want to add too much salt because if you add too much salt, it's going to be too salty. I like to let everybody add their own amount of salt because I don't like things super salty and my husband does. So as you can see, it's kind of starting to bubble there a little bit. So since it's bubbling, I'm going to add a little bit more milk and just keep working that gravy. And you want to let it just kind of bubble a little bit and boil down. It does take time. If you're sitting here staring, watching at this boiling, of course it's not going to boil because you can never watch anything boil because it just won't boil if you watch it. Okay, while that gravy's working out, I have my biscuits. They're ready to go. I'm going to put them in the oven now while I'm working this gravy. So we're going to put this in. It's going in at 450 for 11 to 13 minutes. I like them a little bit doughier, so I'm going to do about 12 minutes. All right, great. As you can see, the gravy is bubbling. So we're just going to keep working that gravy. Let's work it. Also, if you have a butter tray, which I love a butter tray because I'm a grandma stuck in a 80s body. I'm going to tell you my age, but here you go. So I like to have a butter tray. And if you leave it out, if you take it out while you're cooking all this food, it gets nice and soft, easy to add to the biscuits. I don't really care to have the extra butter on the biscuits, but my husband, he likes to have the butter on the biscuits, so it's easier if it's soft. You can put it on right before you dump on your gravy, and it does add a little bit of flavor. We'll just keep working that gravy. All right, here we go. Look at that gravy. It's really bubbling up nicely there, thickening up. It's going to be so perfect for the biscuits. It's going to be so good. It's actually kind of peaceful making gravy. As weird as that is, you can be in the kitchen just whisking away. You have a big family, you probably have a lot of things on your mind. You can't really have things on your mind when you're making gravy because you're thinking about making the gravy. So you can't be thinking about anything else but making that gravy. So it's kind of peaceful. Okay, if you are still here with me, I'm going to be moving my gravy to the back of the grill. I'm sure if you cook a lot, you have a favorite burner. My front left burner is acting up right now. It used to be my favorite, it's really annoying. So I'm pushing that gravy to the back. I'm using my front right burner. I'm going to add a little bit of butter, like not even a half of a teaspoon. Yeah, half a teaspoon or so. I'm sorry, tablespoon, not teaspoon. All right, so we're going to let that butter melt. Getting it melted. Now we're moving on to the eggs. We're going to be making our scrambled eggs. All right, we got our eggs. Just going to start working those scrambled eggs. All right, we're almost here. We're almost done with these eggs. Getting there. We got 1 minute left on the biscuits. We are almost there. Can't wait for you to see the finished product. You can add as much as you like depending on your preference. There you go.